We know that the Cardinals are interested in multiple pitchers for their team next year, but two names were specifically brought up recently. We're going to talk about them again today on Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou, and a lifetime Cardinals fan. And I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter at JD Sports Radio. You can follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. We want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube. If you like the visual aspect, you can see if you're watching on YouTube right now, I got a little bit of the Halloween spirit going on behind me. Got a few of the Scream masks, and I got a Freddy Krueger claw up there. I'm actually wearing a Scream t-shirt on camera tonight. Me and the wife were watching scary movies earlier. So anyway, that's what's going on visually. So if you want that type of show for you and you have the availability of getting to a computer or on your phone, you want to watch it that way, you can do that too. If you're going to, do me a solid on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Really helps the channel grow. Hit the notification button so you know when new episodes are posted, because this is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. There is no off season for us here at Locked On Cardinals. We continue day in, day out. Sometimes the shows will be coming out a little bit later, depending on what my other work schedule is, which is why you're getting one right now, basically on Wednesday morning, but it's actually Tuesday's show. There's some stuff to talk about. We got some names recently that were brought up that apparently the Cardinals have a lot of interest in for next season, as far as adding them to the rotation. Now, if you've ever played a game of cards, okay, like specifically something like poker, I'm not talking about Go Fish or something like that. The idea in a game like poker is if you have a plan and you have a good hand, you want to hide your hand, right? You want to hide your hand the best you can and for as long as you can, so that you can get other people to continue to stay in the game and continue to bet. That way you can win more money. You hear the phrase, he's got a good poker face, meaning that person doesn't have any tells, doesn't give away what he's got, whether it's a good hand, a bad hand. You don't know what they're holding, so that you can't read what their next move might be. The St. Louis Cardinals right now have a terrible poker face. I mean, in fact, they don't even have a poker face whatsoever. They're not really trying to fool anyone with what their plan for the 2024 offseason is going to be. They want pitching. They want all of the pitching. How much they're going to pay, who they're going to trade to get it, that we don't know yet. But we know that they have interest in pretty much everybody who's going to be out there as a free agent. We've gone over a few of the free agent names that will be available this offseason earlier this year, because let's face it, by, July, that's what we were already thinking about. We were already looking forward to next year. So some of this information I might be throwing to you might be a little bit repetitive from what we've talked about earlier this year, but this is the news. This is what's going on with this Cardinals team right now. So they need starters. They need relievers. And how they go about it will be a huge impact on whether or not this team is competitive again in 2024. Now, the Cardinals pitching staff as a whole was pretty darn bad this year. All right, I got some stats for you. Even with Jordan Montgomery pitching as well as he did with the Cardinals this year, in the end, the staff finished 24th in ERA. They gave up the second most hits, trailing only Colorado. They gave up the sixth most runs, the seventh most earned runs. Although it seemed like they gave up a lot of home runs, that really wasn't the problem. They did pretty well in that category, actually, giving up 179, which was tied for the fourth least given up in the league. I think what stands out to us is that they always seem to be back-breaking home runs, like, ninth inning home runs. So just ones that just kicked you right in the beanbag, They just came at the worst times. That's what it felt like to me. It was a lot of home runs by the bullpen and Michaelis really at the end of the year. But walks, they were tied for 12, so not awful. Strikeouts, on the other hand, this is where the Cardinals really, 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 really have a big problem. Only the Rockies struck out less people. To put it into perspective, the Cardinals struck out 1,215 hitters this year. The Twins, who led the league, had 1,560 strikeouts. And this isn't something new for the Cardinals. It's not like all of a sudden we're like, they forgot how to strike people out. They haven't been striking people out for a while now. They were last in the league in strikeouts in 2022 with just 1,177, and they were last in 2021 with 1,225. And again, when we talk about the things that went wrong with this team this year, there's a lot of things you can point at, but that stat, the amount of strikeouts that they had this year, that particular stat is a big reason. They just don't miss enough bats. They don't. And with the shift gone, the balls that were finding gloves in previous years are now finding holes, and they're finding grass, and they're landing. The philosophy that had worked, where the Cardinals didn't go out and overpay for power pitchers to strike a lot of dudes out. They got them to make contact, hit into an awesome defense, hit into the shift, and they would win ball games that way. Using that philosophy didn't work. The changes in the game this year busted them up. It was a major issue for a lot of guys on the staff, specifically Miles Michaelis. I mean, how many times did you hear soft contact? Remember, they said that phrase over and over. You heard him in all the post-game interviews. Ali said it all the time. Well, a little soft contact. Michaelis obviously talked about it a lot. We heard it during telecasts. Some of this we could chalk up to bad luck. It does happen. Some dying quails just happen to fall in spots. But an easy cure to stop that, to stop the hemorrhaging, is to find guys who have swing and miss stuff instead, right? If they can't hit it, you don't have that issue where the ball's in play finding areas where you don't have fielders anymore. Easier said than done, right? But that's the goal. Miss more bats, give up less hits. That's what we're rolling with. Now, Mo did mention in an interview post-trade deadline, after they had shipped people away, that their need for pitching doesn't mean that they're only going after guys who have high strikeout rates. He said that. They're not just going after power pitchers, but they're certainly going to need to get more of those kind of guys in there to go along with whatever pitchers they sign or trade for. So it shouldn't come as a surprise that two of the names mentioned in Derek Gould's article at STLtoday.com on Sunday were guys who finished inside the top 25 in strikeouts in all of Major League Baseball this year. It shouldn't shock you that those are guys that they're targeting. Those two names were Aaron Nola of the Philadelphia Phillies and Sonny Gray from the Minnesota Twins. The exact quote from Gould's article was, "The list of free agent pitchers the Cardinals intend to pursue includes Phillies ace Aaron Nola and Twins veteran Sonny Gray." That according to multiple sources. The list of their interests is much longer. The Cardinals have advertised adding at least 3 pitchers from the outside. Trades in foreign markets are other sources they've already started vetting. We've talked about some of the guys who are in the Japanese league, which obviously we're all excited about. If they could land at least one of them, get a couple of these free agents, maybe trade for one, a couple bullpen arms, and you feel like you're moving in the right direction. But he mentioned those two specific names, Aaron Nola and Sonny Gray. So let's start with Aaron Nola, who finished with 202 strikeouts this season and has cracked the 200 strikeout mark a lot. Let's put a picture up of Nola on the YouTube. There you go. 200 strikeout mark every season since 2018, and that's not counting the shortened COVID year. So since 2018, the guy's got strikeout years of 224, 229, 96 in the COVID year, where he was averaging 12.1 strikeouts per nine, career high for him. Then it was 223 in 2021, 235 last year, down a bit this year to 202. This hasn't been a great year for Aaron Nola in his walk year. You know, the ERA's up. He hasn't been the same pitcher. The Cardinals saw him twice. One time he dominates him. Next time, not as good. So what are some of the reasons why you may not want the Aaron Nola on your team? The fact that he's now 30 and that the strikeouts were down might alarm some people. I get that. But there's always going to be risk when signing any free agents, especially pitchers. I mean, all you got to do is look at the guys who were the top 3 free agent pitchers last year. Jacob deGrom was turning 35. Extensive injury history, but the Rangers gave him 5 years, $185 million, and he lasted all of 6 starts this year before he went down for the season with his second Tommy John surgery. Carlos Rodon, we talked about him yesterday. Got the bag from the Yankees, age 30, 6 years, $162 million. Strains his forearm, then has a back issue, didn't pitch till July, ends up going 3-8, ERA 6.85. His last outing of the season at the end of September gave up 8 runs and didn't even record an out. Like, he was a huge bust this year. He's still under contract for 5 more. He can turn it around. And then you had Justin Verlander, 40 years old, 2 years, $86.7 million, got hurt in the spring, missed all of April, but ends up pitching pretty well. Goes 6-5, 3.15 ERA with New York before getting traded back to Houston, where he goes 7-3, 3.31 ERA. So only one of the big 3 last year panned out. It's a risk. It just is. But the Cardinals are in a situation right now where they've got to take some risks if they want to turn this thing around for next season. Now, if this was something where they're like, well, let's rebuild it, we got a couple of years to work with, then I understand why you wouldn't sign any of these guys. But that doesn't appear to be the plan. You know, hearing the way Mo spoke and the way Ollie spoke at the end of the season here, next year they're coming in, and they're coming in hot. And they're not putting up with this garbage that we went through this year, which is great to hear. Nola also gives up 32 long balls this season. That's a lot. 6th most in the league. Maybe pitching home games at Busch Stadium will help that number a bit. But the odd part is that 20 of those dingers actually came on the road. Only 12 of them came at Citizens Bank Park in Philly, which had the 7th most home runs hit at this season. Globe Life Field, home of the Rangers, had the most. So it wasn't like they were all coming against him when he was pitching at home. Like, they hit him on the road pretty good. It certainly won't be cheap to land Aaron Nola. It's not like the Cardinals are the only team that's going to be going after him. You know, everybody wants more pitching. Everybody does. Heck, he could go back to Philly. We don't know if he's even going to leave Philadelphia. He might say, you know what? I'm happy here. I mean, what if they go out and win a ring this year? And he's like, I like it here. Well, let's stick around. Philly's got money. Why wouldn't they spend it on him? But he's definitely one of the guys at the top of the list. So there you go. A little background on what's going on with Aaron Nola. The other name mentioned, Sonny Gray. We're going to discuss him next on Locked On Cardinals. Now, I've been talking to you guys about bird dogs since the spring. We're in October now, but it's still pretty warm out, right? And a lot of you guys have jumped on board, picked up some of these game-changing shorts for yourselves. I'm sure you're loving them. I do. For those who have not decided to try the bird dogs yet, it's time. It's time to get on board, man. I wear them for all sorts of occasions, whether I'm shopping with the wife. We went to Target the other day together. Wore my bird dogs. A lunch or dinner with the family, especially when it's still nice out. The patio stuff, perfect for that. My favorite thing to wear them and do in them, golf. Guys, golf. These shorts are incredible for golfing. They're light. They keep you dry. It's a wonderful thing. Maybe you got kids. You got to go watch them play sports this fall, some soccer, football, whatever it may be. They're perfect to wear to these occasions. They got pants too, by the way, in case you were wondering. They fit way better than regular shorts. They're made of that restricting cotton stuff, which is not fun. Bird Dogs took care of that issue by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki, but it stretches, so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice your movement. If you're a sweatier person, Bird Dogs are perfect for you. They use the anti-stink sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. Go get some. Head to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB. Enter that promo code LockedOnMLB at checkout for a free Bird Dog water bottle with your order. Take that to the gym. If you want to, take it on walks when you're taking the dog out, whatever you're doing, you can take it with you. It's perfect. birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB for a free water bottle at checkout. You won't want to take your bird dogs off. We promise you. Once again, thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Always know that your comments are needed and wanted. I want them in the comment section on YouTube. I want to hear from you on Twitter throughout this off season. Every time there's breaking news, I want to know what you're thinking about it. Feedback always welcome and encouraged. So let's move on to Sonny Gray. Now, Sonny Gray is a guy that I've actually wanted to see in a Cardinal uniform for a couple of years now. Ever since he ended up coming over to the National League, I saw him pitching with the Reds, and I just loved him. I loved his demeanor. I love his ability on the mound. He just felt like he's a Cardinal type of guy. He just gives me that vibe. And this year, lo and behold, goes out and has one of the best seasons in all of Major League Baseball. He's going to get some Cy Young votes in the AL, and he should. The guy, you look at the record, it's pedestrian looking. 8-8, you're like, the heck? 8-8? What's so special about that? But we know you can't really judge a starting pitcher, by his record. I mean, Lance Lynn won 13 games this year. His ERA is almost 6. Okay. It kind of depends on who you're pitching for and how things go when you're on the mound. Sometimes guys just don't get run support. It happens. But here's where you see how good Gray was. ERA 2.76 over 32 starts. 32 starts, very important. Obviously, he was healthy this year, which was great. And then 2.76. The list of starters who had a better ERA this year are impending free agent and probably your NL Cy Young Award winner, Blake Snell. And then the Yankees' Garrett Cole, probably the American League Cy Young Award winner. And that's it. That's the list. Two people had better ERAs than him as far as starters, qualified starters throughout the year. He finishes 10th in batting average against, was in the top 25 in strikeouts with 183. And although that ERA was his third lowest in his career, it's not some flash in the pan fluke. Like, the guy has been good over the last few years. ERA last year, 3.08 in 24 starts, 2.87 in 2019 in 31 starts. So the guy has a recent track record of success. Like, he's been really, really good. And he's just a guy that I think will look great in a Cardinal uniform if they can make it happen. I want to double check on his ERA here. 2.79. Okay. I want to make sure I'm saying it right. I think I said 2.76 earlier. So, but his 183 strikeouts this year tied for the second highest in one season in his career, but his strikeouts per 9 this year was right at 9.0. His career average is 8.7. So, yeah, there's a little bump this year because he was healthy and he had the 32 starts, but more or less it's in line of what he's done for most of his career. Age 33. Some people may not be on board with that. That, of course, is a risk. Every pitcher is. But one thing that might go in the Cardinals' favor here is that because of that advanced age, I mean, it's not like he's some old fart out there. You know, he's not Adam Wainwright. He's not in his 40s or anything like that. But perhaps because he is at age 33, maybe you don't have to go 5 or 6 years on whatever contract you offer him. Perhaps a 3-year deal would get it done. He made $12.7 million this year. So if you went, 3 years, $20 million? Would that be enough to lure him to St. Louis? Would they go as high as 3 years, $25 million when people start bidding against him? You know, $25 million per for a starting pitcher as of right now would put him in the top 8 salaries for starting pitchers in baseball. But that's what you got to do. That is the price of doing business in the free agent pitching market these days. If you go over to Spot Rack, they've got the market value for Nola at $24.5 million. They say market value for him, a deal of 6 years, 147 is about right. Sonny Gray, 20.3 million, 3 years, 60.9 million. Just for reference, they also have Blake Snell at 23.5 per, which honestly seems a little bit low. I feel like someone's going to pay more than that. The Padres may pay more than that. Former Cardinals on the list here, Jordan Montgomery, they've got him at 18.4. Michael Wacha, 18.2. Lance Lynn at 15.1. And these are just estimates. Obviously, they could go up even further, depending on how desperate some other teams get. I'm looking at you, Padres. Y'all are wild. And then, of course, the Mets had their crazy spending ways last year. So, it ain't going to be cheap. And there's no promises just because the Cardinals are interested, excuse me, or want them, that they're going to come to St. Louis. But it's good to know that the Cardinals are at least already putting feelers out there, that sources are saying that they plan on at least chasing some of the top of the line pitching talent that's going to be out there. Maybe relief pitchers wise, Josh Hader is supposed to be available. Does that mean they're going to go after some of these guys? I hope they're at least having conversations with them. I hope that it's not, and I don't know if you heard the story today that was kind of circulating about how Max Scherzer, before he signed with the Nationals, wanted to come to St. Louis, told Adam Wainwright to tell the ownership, hey, if they can compare to the Nationals offer, I'd rather pitch in St. Louis. And ownership just kind of went, we don't care. Too much money. When he wanted to go to the Mets, or when he signed with, I should say, wanted to go, but when he signed with the Mets, apparently he put out feelers saying, hey, I'd like to come to St. Louis. Cardinals told him that he was out of their price range. They can't use that excuse now. They can't, because they saw what happened when they didn't pay top dollar for top of the line guys. Last place. We don't want to see that again. All right, let's take a look at the wild card games from Tuesday. One former Cardinal pitcher had an incredible start today. So good. We're going to talk about it next on Locked On Cardinals. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. So you're going to win even if you lose. Now, if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, it's the app that I use. There's no better time to get in on the action. The app is very, very easy to use. They've got a lot of stuff there to click on, and it will explain to you. It'll take you to a page that explains to you what all these different bets mean. Because there's a lot of them. It's a wide range of betting options for even the most professional of bettors to the ones that are like me, who only knows the basic stuff, spreads, player props. You got over or unders, but there's a whole lot more available on there. You got Thursday night football coming up this week. The 0-4 Chicago Bears at the 2-2 Washington Commanders. Bears coming off a stunning collapse this past Sunday against Denver, up 28-7 in that third quarter, and then choked the game away. As a Packers fan, I had to laugh a little bit. I did. I chuckled. But then I remember how we screwed the pooch on the Atlanta game and gave up our lead, so it wasn't as funny anymore. But Bears are still 0-4, though. It's kind of funny. Commanders are 5.5-point favorites in this one after giving the Eagles a heck of a game in Philly. So you've also got prop bets, things like anytime touchdown scorers. Brian Robinson comes to mind, the running back there. Terry McLaurin for Washington. Player rushing and receiving yards, passing touchdowns. Is Justin Fields going to throw 3 more again? I don't know. Sam Howell for Washington. Is he going to do it? I don't know. But maybe. You can bet on these things and make money. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. I know it stinks not having the boys in the playoffs, but we still have got some interest in other teams who are in the postseason right now, and that's due to former Cardinals who are sprinkled among the remaining teams. Personally, I don't think I'm not really rooting for one particular team to win. I was talking with some of the Locked On guys today, and I was like, I kind of like the Rangers path. I feel like I don't. Tampa Bay doesn't scare me. Baltimore, kind of new to the game, 101 win season, but kind of young. I don't really trust their pitching all that much. And I kind of like the Rangers path. I kind of like it. But you've got some different stories here. Like I said, Rangers. We've got a couple of former Cardinals on there. You've got the Marlins with Skip Schumacher at the helm. Pretty cool. Blue Jays got some former Birds on there. Orioles got Jack Flaherty, if anybody is rooting for Jack Flaherty anymore. But I actually put up a poll asking Cardinal fans who they are rooting for, who are they interested in seeing win in this postseason out of those four teams. And 46% of the vote goes with Schumacher and the Marlins. So that makes a lot of sense, followed by the Orioles, Rangers, and then the Blue Jays. The one thing I did like about Baltimore, I love the crowd at Baltimore. Like, they were wild. Did you see Minnesota Twins crowd today? Crazy. That's how Baltimore is going to be. So I kind of like what they do there. But let's start with what happened today. Skip's Marlins, who are going to have a tough go, man, against these Phillies. The Phillies are just good. I mean, what are you gonna do? Phillies are good. You got the 1-2 pitching punch of Wheeler and Nola, plus all them sluggers: Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, JT Realmuto, Alec Boehm. And once again, Wheeler today puts on a pitching clinic just like he did against the Cardinals last year. Today he went 6 2/3, 1 run, 5 hits, 8 Ks. Jesus Luzardo, a guy that I was interested in trying to trade for from the Marlins earlier in the offseason of last year. He wasn't awful, but he wasn't great either for the Marlins. Phillies grabbed this one 4-1. Braxton Garrett will get the starting game 2 against maybe future Cardinal Aaron Nola. The other NL wildcard game had the Diamondbacks at the Brewers. And I tell you what, Brewers might be in trouble here. Brewers had their ace, Corbin Burns, on the mound, staked him to a 3-0 lead. And he coughed that sucker up, allowed 4 runs, 5 hits, 3 of them solo shots, struck out 5, but he did it. He only lasted 4 innings today. Former Cardinal Tommy Pham was batting third for the D-backs, went 0 for 4, 2 punchies, a walk, and a run scored. But Milwaukee is without Brandon Woodruff in this series. And then their closer and St. Louis native, Devin Williams, he came in tonight when the game was still at 4-3, and he got knocked around. He allowed 2 runs in just 2/3 of an inning, allowed 1 hit, but he walked 3. Threw a lot of pitches. Brewers and Arizona both used 7 pitchers in this one. But the Brewers, like I said, they might be in trouble because guess who's coming to the mound for the Diamondbacks tomorrow? Zach Gallen. Former Cardinal prospect, Zach Gallen, gets the ball. So we'll see what happens there. That's going to be interesting. Brewers might be done. It's a possibility. All right, moving over to the American League. You had the Twins finally winning a playoff game. They had lost 18 in a row before beating Toronto today, 3-1. Royce Lewis hit 2 home runs, which accounted for all 3 runs in the victory. Both Jordan Hicks and Genesis Cabrera pitched in this one, throwing a combined 1 2/3 innings of shutout ball while striking out 4. Tomorrow, you have maybe future Cardinal Sonny Gray spinning for the Twins against Jose Barrios for the Blue Jays. And then finally, the Rangers. The Rangers end up taking down the Tampa Bay Devil Rays today. The Rays ended up wearing their throwback uniforms, which I love the colors. I love the way it looks. Very nice. But it didn't really help them today because Jordan Montgomery was straight dealing. 7 shutout innings, allowed just 6 hits. He whiffs 5. Even does a crazy athletic pitcher play where he makes a diving catch towards the first baseline on a bunt attempt. Like, this is a huge man out there, 6'6", and he got it. Afterwards, he even said, he's like, I don't know what happened. I blacked out, and I just went for it. I have no idea what I was doing. Chris Stratton did not pitch, but Adolis Garcia, he went 1 for 5 with 2 strikeouts in this one. The Rays made 4 errors in the game, which helped lead to their demise. You got game 2 tomorrow. Nathan Eovaldi for Texas against the Rays, Zach Eflin. So, Cardinal fans, you'll have a chance to see both Aaron Nola and Sonny Gray tomorrow. So maybe do a little scouting. For the Cardinals. Again, thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Help our channel and love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason, and I will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.